Please take our seats, ladies and gentlemen. We're about right to begin with the program. A pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hillcrest Country Club. In behalf of the management and the Board of Governors, we are happy and delighted to see so many friends, guests, and relatives helping us to honor and salute honoree Pro Emeritus Vic Choco for his testimonial dinner. Let's have a nice round of applause. The Reverend Clergy, Mr. Toastmaster, Pro Emeritus Vic Choco and his lovely wife Flossie, our Pro Dave Choco, Mr. Ed Lipsky, President of Hillcrest Country Club, Mr. Bill Klingesmith, Treasurer, Hillcrest Country Club, Mr. John Martinak, Chairman, Golf Chairman, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that any festivity of this nature, a testimonial in particular, has its feelings, its compassion, and emotion. I came across a little poem the other day, which I thought would be very apropos to this occasion. I'd like to share it with you. It's called Starting a New Year, a New Life by Anne Bankson. It goes something like this. Faith, hope, and love are the expressions of a new life. God's care is very evident in life and resources. Many of our blessings come without money and without a price. Many of them are free ones by nature. The air, the sunshine, and the beauty of the countryside. I am filled with wonder at the many varieties of flowers and animals and their purpose in this world. When you are discouraged, look into the starry night and all is clear. We have so many opportunities, almost endless. When we are ill, we think of the great blessings of health. But not until we are deprived of many blessings do we realize their worth. So with our new life, if we do right, whatever comes and goes, I know we'll weather the storm. All of us have many things to which to be thankful. Thank God we face another year to live in love. Thank you very much. We would like at this time to dedicate a musical selection to Honorary Pro Emeritus Vic Choco and his wife Floss and all the Choco family, from all of us in the audience, and even those who could not be here for one reason or another. The selection by the band will be You Needed Me. The band is ready. I'd like to have the selection, please. I would add, let's have a nice round of applause for Lynn, who's been doing all the singing. Lynn Cole, let's have a nice hand for her.
But
here, ladies and gentlemen. Very lovely. Thank you, Lynn. Very lovely. I'd like to recognize the band. They're called the Lamplighters. They're under the direction of Al Cole, and the vocals by Lynn Cole. It's a father and daughter team. Another round of applause for the whole group. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are few, if any, boss and jobs in which ability alone is sufficient. Needed also are loyalty, sincerity, cooperation, leadership. You know, these are the qualifications of our president. He has been our president for the past 3 years, as usual, doing an excellent job. I'm sure we know he's a very avid golfer and a fine golfer. He tells us in the locker room he's over the hill. And you know, he's only kidding. He has been our club champion for 7 years. A very dedicated president, a fellow we all have a lot of respect for. Will you join me as I call on the president of Hillcrest Country Club, Mr. Ed Lipsky. Ed?
Thank you, John. Reverend clergy, dais, honored guests, Mrs. Chuckle, family, relatives, members, guests. I had an outline of a speech here, but it seems like John and I should have gotten together because he said what I wanted to say. But in all honesty, I'd like to welcome all you. We greatly appreciate you for coming tonight to honor a most honest, dedicated employee. Vic has spent many years with us, both as ground superintendent and pro. I've known Vic for about 20 years in my short time at golf. He's always been most helpful. You look at the children, kids that have played here. It's my pleasure to be able to welcome you and say that, Vic Chuckle, we greatly appreciate your service, your dedication, the wonderful family you've raised, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. The committee, of course, is responsible for so much work. And at the time we were meeting, we didn't know who to get for a Master of Ceremonies. But we're always thankful to have a personnel that we have, like Adam Barclay and the rest of the gang. Why look around outside the club? If you just take inventory, you have so much wealth of talent here, it's pathetic. So, we took a little inventory, and we finally came up with a local member, believe it or not. And I'm sure when he gets through, he's going to be one of the best Master of Ceremonies you ever heard. He's worked for Allegheny London for 32 years, lives in Lower Burrell. That's what they tell me. I live in Burrell. They say, no, you live in Burrell. Whatever. So we satisfy with all concern. He's born and raised in Katanning. It's a little north here. He was the past Pennsylvania State Governor Lions Club, designed and builder of Leechburg Community Park, design and builder of the Elks Lodge, past president for 2 years of Kiski Valley United Fund, and now he's working with us in a building, Hillcrest Country Club Tennis Court. Ladies and gentlemen, with pleasure, let's welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Richard P. Jones. Come on, take over.
Thank you very much, John, for that very kind introduction. Honored guest Vic and Flossie, dignitaries at the head table, ladies and gentlemen, members of Hillcrest. It's a very great honor for me this evening to have been asked to be the MC, to share in this showing of our friendship and our love for a long time employee,
professional of this club. There are some 250 here this evening, so that if I do my part right and you do your part right, all of us together may be able to make this one of the finest nights that Vic will ever have. He'll remember it the rest of his life, and that's our objective and goal. Now, with that much, I'd like to suggest we take about 30 seconds so that the fellas can straighten their shorts and stand up and relax. We've been sitting for a half an hour. The girls can adjust their girdles. We're going to show some 35 millimeters, a little reminiscing session, and you might want to turn around and get in position for that. Why don't you stand up and take a break? We've got about 45 minutes to go. Okay?
We can't stand up, they can't see us. Just turn around.
Okay, has everybody got straightened out now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can resume our positions. Okay, if you'll kindly take your seats now, we'll resume. You know, tonight as I stood around, somebody came up to me and said, "How did you get to be MC? How do you get to be an MC?" And it's really very simple. It's sort of a self-home training course to become MC. I'll tell you what it is. It's very simple. If you like this job, tonight when you go home, stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. Get you used to facing people. When you get that far, and you do that well, then you fill your mouth full of marbles, and you talk. And when you lose all your marbles, you're ready to take this type of job. But for a long time, I used to get very nervous and excited when I got in front of people to talk. In fact, in front of a podium, it wasn't bad, because, you see, my problem was that I'd get so nervous, I'd wet my pants. Honestly, I went to Doc Lou Sarasso today. I said, "Doc, I got this problem." He said, "That's no problem. I've had that problem for years." He said, "I tell you what, take this pill half hour before you MC, and it'll do the job. You'll have no problem." I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's a tranquilizer." He said, "You'll still wet your pants, but you won't give a damn." Actually, tonight, I was selected by a friend of mine, Adam Barkley. I want you to know that, because if I'm not good, blame Adam, okay? My joke writer was Benji Bongiovanni. If the jokes are no good, blame him. See, now I'm clear and free. Bongiovanni said, "You know, being a good MC, being an MC or a professional golfer is like wetting your pants in a dark suit. You can do a hell of a job and nobody notices." Tonight, it's a pleasure for me to join in recognizing Vic's 37 years of continuous service. That's got to be a record at the same organization. But please remember, as we go along, Vic has swung a golf club for 53 years. That too has got to be a record when you make it pay. Now, it's my pleasure at this time, if I may, to introduce the relatives of Vic and Flossie that's here this evening. I'd like to ask you to hold your applause as I do this, and we'll get them to stand. First, I'd like to ask Vic and Flossie to stand, if you would, please. Now, we'll surround them by their relatives. First, there's his firstborn, Victor and Betty from Leechburg. Would you stand, please, and remain standing? There's the second-born, David and Sandy from New Kensington. There's Dara, a daughter, and Bernie Kubik of New Kensington. Kubiak, excuse me. There's a single in the family yet. It's Charles. He's on my left. There's brother Bill Choco from New Jersey. Bill. There's his sister Margaret from New Kensington. And there's his sister-in-law Monty Ferguson from Canton, Ohio. Monty, how about a nice hand for that family? Thank you very much. Pleasure to have you here. 2 days ago, Vic was married 43 years. He's responsible for 8 grandchildren. I asked Vic, I said, how old are you? This was about a week ago. He said, 53. I said, how could it be? You're retiring. He said, well, I didn't touch a club till I was 14. I always use handicaps. That's my handicap. Alex Sloan was standing right beside me. He said, that's funny. With my handicap, I'm 53. Vic said, don't pay attention to him. He's been lying about that handicap for years. But Vic has oddities, and I tried to find him. I talked to a lot of members, and I could only find one that we might remember him by. I'd like to mention it to you tonight. If Vic ever instructed you, or ever mentioned to you any story or anything, he had a strange habit. When he finished, he'd say, hey, 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 hey. We'll remember that because one of his favorite stories when he was young was about his first steady girlfriend. He went with her for 2 weeks and they became very steady. One night he said, you know, I've got a bad habit. I'm going to have to tell you about it. He said, I'm an avid golfer. Oh, she said, that's all right. I'm a hooker. He said, I'll take care of that. Just weaken the grip on the left hand. I asked Vic, I said, I suppose... Humanitarian. He walked over to the little boy. He said, son, what are you crying so hard for? Here's a hanky. Wipe your tears. There should be nothing so sad that you would cry your heart out. You get sick. What are you crying about? The little boy looked up and said, I can't do what the big boys are doing. Herbie sat down and cried with them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask for the lights to go down. And if you'll share with me a little reminiscing time. I'm sure Vic doesn't know this. We'll take about 6 minutes. We'll run through a little of his life, where he came from, what he's done, if I can. May we turn the lights down a little low, please, and if everybody can see the screen. Of course, Vic was born in 1912. Correct me if I make a mistake.
Right.
He was born in Creighton. Ah, there we are. The first picture that I could find was of Vic and his sister, Margaret. You'll take a good look at Vic there with the bow tie and the slouch belt. Huh? Did you look at him tonight? He'll fill that belt 3 times. The next picture is a picture of Vic and his family, his father Victor and mother Ella. This is Vic, Margaret, and Chuck. Billy was not born. Bill, I think you escaped that picture. But at this time in his life, the club was, he was about 11 years old when the club was chartered. The first round of golf was registered in 1925. Vic was 13. He was in school, in high school. He started to caddy in 1926 after the first round of golf 1 year later. He caddied from 26 to 29, started at 14. The club was only 9 holes. In 1930, he graduated from New Kensington Trade School. Avid sportsman. Here's a picture of him on the basketball team of the Sokol Club in 1933. He's in the center. As I mentioned, he liked all sports. He was a real swinger, had many interests. The next shot is, oh, there's his. Golfing was his sport. Where'd you get that? One of his first jobs, 18 years old, caddy master and club maker. He held that job from 1930 to 34, and there's the story at this time that Dave McCracken tells about them playing together on the old Bill Morgan course on 7th Street. Vic took an 8-iron shot, flubbed it, threw the club into the woods, and never found the club. The whole group looked and never found the 8-iron. Temper tantrum.
Dave did that.
Did Dave do that? Well, he blames you. It was at that time, though, that Dave thought, well, if golfers are that way, can lose clubs and break them, I better start to look at it for making a living, which he did. But in 1935, very debonair with the hat on, he got a job at Alcoa. He worked at Alcoa in the tube mill. He would work at Alcoa for 11 years. That time he was pretty fancy with the ladies. Here he is with 3 of them. 2 I don't know, but I recognize one. It's Flossie on the left. He got a little serious then in 35. He got a permit to make love seriously in 1936. He and Flossie. Whoop.
You don't have that.
I lost one. Something's wrong. But anyway, he and Flossie were married. As I mentioned, June the 20th this year, they were 43 years old. Flossie, Vaughn, and Vic Choco got married, went to housekeeping on Orchard Avenue in New Kensington. Can't figure out what happened to my picture. Something's jammed. Anyway, sorry about that. Vic had to make some money. So he got an ad in the paper, he looked it over and he told Flossie, I think I'll try out for that. Maybe it's a good sales job and I could go into sales, just as an extra. So he went, applied, and he got the job selling toothbrushes in the evening. He took his satchel and the fellow said, see what you can do, and he went out for 2 nights. He sold only 3 toothbrushes. Not very good. He went back in, the fellow says, there's something wrong. We couldn't hire a guy like you. No sales talent. But he says, if we'll give you another try, you've got to get a gimmick. Get yourself a gimmick. So Vic went back out on the road, and he was gone about 3 days. He came in, the boss was pleased. He sold 3,000 toothbrushes. The boss said, well, how'd you do that? He said, I got a gimmick. He said, what was the gimmick? Well, he said, I hate to tell you, but I'll show you. He said, it's very simple. I went down to the market, got a table, put the toothbrushes on with some potato chips and some dip. He said, if you want to try it, Chief, try it. So the chief took the chip. He said, try the dip. He said, go ahead, put it in my mouth. So he ate it. The chief said, my God, it tastes like horse manure. He said, it is. You want to buy a toothbrush? Anyway, Vic ended up, that was the end of that job. In 1941, Vic joined as a member of Hillcrest Country Club. In 1942, he was made pro greenskeeper. His golfing talents were very, very good. He was in amateur standing. News items were not new to him now. He started to get publicity. Pennsylvania Amateur Championship semifinalist in 43 and 44. He was in amateur competition. And he went on through, he joined, entered the pro rank. In 1946, he resigned from Alcoa to take full-time work at Hillcrest Country Club. During this time, his family was growing. His first child, Victor, was born in 38. David came along in 42. Dara in 43. And Charles in 51. You'll notice a similarity, 3 boys and a girl. His father had 3 boys and a girl. There's one other thing there. When he quit Alcoa, you notice in 42 and 43, he had a little time on his hands, had 2 kids in a row. Wow. But anyway, in 47, Vic played in tournaments. He played in one of the biggest money events in the country. It was the George May Tournament in Chicago in 1948. He played in the Tri-State PGA. In 1949, he led in the Dapper Dan Tournament. He led in the Stanton Heights Open Classic. And after 8 years, in 1950, he resigned as greenskeeper to spend full time as pro. Around 1950-51, if some of you recall, the club had a fire. About the same time, the club was thinking of going to 18 holes. So Vic was quite handy around. He got involved, took the challenge to try and get a crew. They were building 9 holes. They needed comfort stations. He got some members, put them together. The first crew, the first working crew. Now, you can pick Vic out of there, but what their job was to build comfort stations. They only got one job. This is what they built. Wasn't even plumbed, so he didn't get any further jobs building anything. He stayed with golf. After many more tournaments, about the next news item that hit the paper was his escapade as hunting. He was known as the Big Bear Hunter. Here's a shot. Oh, geez. There's a shot of a bear he shot in Pennsylvania with Harry Momberger there, a member of the club. A funny story was with that, though. He was out in the woods, and they saw this bear. Vic went to shoot. The gun was jammed. He started to run because the bear came after him, and the bear got closer. But down in the woods, as he's trying to unjam the gun, he grabbed a tree and beat it off the other way, and the old bear slipped past. The bear pretty soon caught up to him again, and he's still trying to get that gun unjammed. And you'll remember that because he grabbed a tree and went, and the bear slid past again. Finally got the gun unjammed. He shot the bear. A couple of days later, some fellow said, Vic, weren't you scared with that bear chase? And he said, what the hell did you think it was sliding on? In 1953, Vic qualified in the U.S. Open and the PGA. In 1954, he qualified for the PGA. Putter, the clubs were his constant companion. In 1955 through 1960, he continued to play tournaments, and he continued in his job at Hillcrest as pro and teacher. He had a lot of clashes with some of the people here, and anybody who lasts 37 years had to have a pretty cool disposition, could handle the clashes with the officers and the board members. He kept friends, matched wits, but kept friends. Remained cool, kept the club regulations, did it all. After 20 years, in 1962, there were 160 attended a testimonial, 20 years. Tonight, it's a little later. There are 250, so his friendship only grows. I think everyone has learned to love Vic Delano. In 1951, and when he was 51 years old, 1963, he won the Tri-State PGA Senior Championship. In 64, he made the cut in the National PGA Senior Championship. In 65, he retired from tourney play to spend full time as pro teacher. He retired in April of this year at 67. I think Vic has been a #1 pro. And I think the attendance tonight sort of shows Vic that we think he's a #1 guy. So, at the last film, as it says, I think I say it all for you. You'll want to do it later tonight, but I'm sure this is the sentiments of all of us. And Vic, I hope you've enjoyed that. Now, if we can have the lights back on, we'll continue with the program.
Thanks.
As you research somebody's history, it's unusual. You know, since around the last 16 years, I can't find a picture of Vic, really, in the albums. So I don't know what happened. Maybe he got camera shy. We had some door prizes tonight, and John Martinez was very disappointed. He had 2 dandies that he couldn't get. They weren't delivered, but they may come later. First prize, he was going to give away Dolly Parton's training bra. And second prize, the trailer truck that it would come in. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the program now, it's my pleasure to make some introductions of friends of Vic's who will want to make a few remarks in his direction. And I'm going to start off with one of his fellow pros, a gentleman who's here tonight in honor of Vic's retirement. And may I introduce the golf professional from Brackenridge, Andy Borkovich, for a few words. Andy?
Well, you hear this. Bill, I read the program, and I was about to use it. but you did. Now what am I going to say? Victor, it's a pleasure being here. First of all, I'd like to have myself and Jeannie thank you all for the invitation. It's been a lovely evening. We enjoyed your food. And Brackenridge Heights would like to thank you as well. They didn't have to pay for 2 additional meals today. You want to say something? Oh, not through yet. Oh, no. As I looked at this program, I had noticed that it says that Vic was a caddy from 1926 to 1929. There's a very fortunate fellow. I caddied from the time I was 10 until I was 25. Now, you're very lucky. Not only that, but I worked hard, believe me. On the backside of this well, first of all, I'd like to all have you look at this. This looks like a man who has failed to make the payment for all the stock in his shop, not only on the 10th of the month, but for 6 months later. That's a very disgusted look. As well as that, I look behind me. Strange swings. Strange. I'll guarantee you Vic doesn't teach golf this way, believe me. Take, for instance, this thing directly behind me. Where it was found, I'll never know. Now, all I see is cracked elbows, cracked wrist, and a club line on his left shoulder. When I look at that belt, I remember those buckles on those trousers. Beautiful.
That was 1932.
Flaps on his shoes. Can you believe that they put flaps on shoes back that far? Over here he looks pretty good. Looks like little Lloyd Mangrum. Not bad at all. So this is the normal Vic. Now why the scratch of the head, I don't know. What were you contemplating, Vic? Was it the day possibly that you and I had played together at Ligonier Country or Somerset Country Club?
Hit the wrong ball.
Vic and I had played together in a pro member, Somerset Country Club, and they only have 9 holes. And back in those days, I was slightly larger than Vic, and I guess I might still be.
Yeah.
And my tee shots had gone beyond them just a little bit.
Oh, about 40 yards.
And after playing 16 golf holes with my tee shot out in front, it was just automatic that Vic would go to the first ball and I would go to the second. We get to the 17th hole, which is a blind hole at Somerset Country Club, and Vic automatically walks to the first ball, and by the way, we all, you don't mind if I push Titleist too?
That's right. We played it.
We both played the Titleist golf ball. Vic hit the first shot, knocked it on the green, and I proceeded to walk up the other shot, knocked on the green. We walked to the green, marked the balls, picked them up, and here's old Vic with his V on my golf ball. Well, I want to tell you, we learned a little lesson. That big guy doesn't hit it that far every time.
I won a tournament, though.
He's been a winner many times.
I won that one.
You've always been a winner in my life, believe me. Vic, by the way, was... Did I ever tell the people here about the time I caddied for you? I at one time a caddy for Vic. Since that time, Vic has done many things. This is a roast, by the way, isn't it? Since that time, Vic has done many things for me, such as being my chauffeur, my favorite chauffeur. Over the years, I was known to drink a little, and Vic nary a drop. And on our way home, I would automatically fall asleep. And Vic would be talking to me. Now, I know all of you here at this club have heard Vic at one time or another talk. And when Vic starts to talk, there's no way that you can stop him.
You will tonight. Stop me tonight.
On this particular trip, as we're coming home, we left the Pleasant Valley Golf Club in Connellsville. I don't think we got to the parking lot, and I'm already asleep. And I know that the guy was talking to me when I had fallen asleep.
How do you know?
We are now crossing the Allegheny River on the Turnpike Bridge, and I awaken automatically for another story. And Vic is still talking to me. To this day, I don't know if Vic realized that I had been sleeping for an hour and a half. I also make that statement about the bridge for another reason. We have had, as I say, many trips together. Vic was never one to know where he was going. Some people are at a loss. Vic is just plain lost. We had made a trip one night and we're coming home and we just automatically drove across that Allegheny River Bridge, passed up our exit. Now we're heading from the west to the east. I crossed the bridge and I realized, my God, the bridge. All of a sudden I awakened. Why I awakened on a bridge, I'll never know, but we have to go to Monroeville and turn around and come back. From that time on, it was me awakening on that bridge, automatically, because I didn't want that additional drive. If any of you have ever driven with Vic, he does not drive fast. Very slow. You realize how much talking can be had in that particular amount of time? Now, some of you may find this very funny, but it gets boring, believe me. Especially when he's trying to tell you how he played his game, and you want to tell him how you played yours. Vic, it's been a pleasure knowing you. Thank you ever so much.
If I may take this opportunity and you'll join with me, I'd like to welcome Andy's wife and have her take a stand and be recognized. Jean, would you? And Mrs. Borkowitz, thank you for coming. You know, I heard how Vic met Flossie. It was really unusual. It was a winter day, really. Flossie was driving down the road and she had gotten off the road and got stuck in a ditch. Vic came along. And he walked over with a smile on his face and he said, you know, I'll help you out of the ditch, but you're the third pregnant lady I've helped out of the ditch today. She said, what if I'm not pregnant? He said, you're not out of that damn ditch yet either. On behalf of all the past presidents and those who have worked with Victor, they want to put something on his shelf that will remind him of the many trying times and hours that he spent thinking of things. So I have a presentation to make to Victor that is called the Stainless Steel Thinker Award. It's a little fella on a John where Vic does quite a bit of his thinking, you can tell. Our next guest speaker is unable to be here this evening, so at this time I'd like to ask John Martino if he would come on behalf of Win Treadway from River Forest. John?
Mr. Toastmaster, I was notified that due to circumstances beyond control, Mr. Treadway could not be here tonight. So he did send this letter, and I'd like to quote it, if I may, please. I'm very sorry that I will be unable to attend this testimonial in your honor on Friday night as planned. However, as I promised, I'm enclosing the life membership cards for you and your wife. These cards will be renewed automatically each year. I had planned on presenting you with them Friday evening, but things have come up that makes it impossible. The frame certificate will be presented to you on Friday evening. Best of luck in your retirement. Please use our facility just any time you wish. Sincerely, Win Treadway. Here is the plaque, the life membership card to Vic and his lovely wife, Flossie. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may, at this time I'd like to tell another little story about Vic. Some of them are real cute. Back when he was a little younger, looking for a little extra work, he was asked to go to Penn State, which was right in New Kensington, and teach a course in sex education. Yeah? Actually, he didn't know what to tell Flossie, but he did take home. I have another little gift, a memento of this evening. Herbie Goldberg would like me to make this presentation because Herbie's gone through this. As you get older, you tend to have a failing of the eyes, and you start losing your balls. Now, Herb's run into this, and he thought that something in this light would be a good thing for Vic to keep him from losing his balls. So on behalf of Herbie, I present this to you, Victor. If you'll take that out there and try those on. Put that right out there. Oh, what is it? Huh?
He's gonna get his handicap cut.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce another guest who has come with us this evening to speak on Vic's behalf. He's a golf professional at Lakeview Country Club. He's the president of the Tri-State Golf Professional Association, a very active pro. At this time, help me welcome, please, Frank Slujak. Frank.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. It's indeed a privilege and a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm not quite as eloquent as Mr. Borkovich. Matter of fact, not quite as old either. But it is a privilege for Rosemary and I to be here this evening to honor such an outstanding professional as Mr. Vic Chalko. I'm not so sure exactly the reason for my invitation here, however, thank you. Possibly, I find out this evening that we are both Slavish. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure they'll hold that against us.
No.
But it's been my privilege for approximately 25 years to know this gentleman. I was quite young when I got into the PGA. Victor?
I know.
And it really is. It's been 25 years since I first met Mr. Chalko when I was the caddy master at the Mount Lebanon Golf Club. And I believe playing in the Tri-State PGA Match Play Championship. It was my first occasion to make your acquaintance. And of course, it's been a pleasure all these years, although the past 10 years we haven't seen much of Vic. So evidently he's been making good golfers out of all the people here at Hillcrest Country Club. And, you know, the true measure of a real country club professional are the people that he turns out in golfers. And without, I don't think this gentleman has any peers if the record stands on its own, and that is the young lady that you have as a junior golfer here. Of course, she's moved on to bigger things, who was the PGA's national junior champion, Nancy Rubin. And really, those are the things that really count to those club professionals. At least those have been my priorities by the fact that I'm not too frequently on the tournament circuit myself. So I've kind of missed Vic playing, but I haven't really played much myself. But Vic, on behalf of the professionals of the tri-state area, it's been nice. We hope that your retirement will bring you back to play some active golf again. Vic has been a member of the Tri-State PGA since May 16th, 1947. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
So on behalf of all the professionals of the Tri-State PGA, I would like at this time to make a presentation on their behalf. And the award reads, the Professional Golfers Association of America, Tri-State Section, presented to Victor Chalko, Jr. This award is presented to you on behalf of the entire organization for your untiring efforts throughout the years. It carries with it our heartfelt thanks for your loyalty and friendship, which will long be remembered and appreciated. Vic, good luck in your retirement, and we've enjoyed it. We hope you continue to come see us always.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having Rosemary and I come here this evening. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should ask Rosemary to stand and be recognized. How about that? Rosemary Slujak, nice to have you. A couple of weeks ago, there was a story going around about Vic did play a game of golf with Mario Patai. They were going down number 12, And Vic looked over and Mario was going like this. Vic said, "What's wrong?" Mario said, what the hell are these bugs?" Vic said, "Those are foo-foo flies." Mario said, "What's a foo-foo fly?" "Oh," he said, "those are flies you find out around the farm. They hang around the horse's hind end." Mario said, "Are you calling me a horse's ass?" Vic said, No, but you can't fool them foo-foo flies." I have a nice little memento to present to Vic this evening. He'll be playing a lot of golf and he's something that will not tarnish and will last. It's monogrammed with Vic. It's a greenskeeper and a golden tee, spring-loaded, holds to the ground, and Victor, I'd like you to have that.
Thank
All
you.
right? At this time, I'd like to take pleasure of introducing our own new pro, Vic's son David, our golf professional. How about a nice hand for David?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank all of you for attending the salute to my father. Yeah, he's your golf professional for 36 years. He's been my father for 36 years. I'd like to take this time on behalf of my brothers and sisters to thank him for being such a wonderful father, very understanding. You know, and we've put him through a whole lot for a lot of years.
You weren't back yet.
Yeah, we were bad. I don't think many fathers and sons have spent as much time together as he and I. I can't say it was all enjoyable.
That helped.
As many of you know, he's about probably as close to a perfectionist as anyone could be. And we've had our differences, but I think it's made both of us better individuals, probably better golf professionals. I know he's probably tried to teach me everything that he has learned about golf, as well as in life. I'd also like to thank my mother. Man, she spent many long hours in the golf shop, you know, so that we were able to play in a few golf tournaments. We used to play as partners in pro tournaments. And usually when we get back to the club or back home or whatever, we'd be arguing about, you know, mistakes that he made or mistakes that I made. And you know, should end up listening to both sides of the story. But every once in a while we'd have a good round together, and I guess, you know, that's really what it's all about. I would really also like to thank all of the people on the committee that have put together this fantastic party tonight. I mean, I think it's just absolutely unbelievable. My only hope is that I can do half the job that he has done the last 36 years. And I thank you very much.
I was fortunate to talk to one of Vic's teachers. She's
There
up
we
in
go
years.
again.
And she told me a little story about when he and George Bleen were in school together. Seems one day they were sitting in class and she was describing some things on the board, and she got up to the blackboard and started to erase, and she leaned way up and heard some snickering. She turned around and George Bleen was laughing and giggling. She said, "George, what's going on?" He said, "Well, teacher, when you reached up to the blackboard, I saw it clear up to your thigh." She said, "You go to the principal." He did. He got 2 days off. It was only a couple days later. She was at the blackboard again, and she happened to drop the eraser. She got the eraser and she heard a book close and footsteps. She turned around and she said, "Victor, where are you going?" He said, "Teacher, from what I saw, I'll see you next year." anybody out? Mrs. Haygood, who's with the ladies group, got a ball for Victor. She said that he needed something to help keep his eye on the ball, and this ball is exactly what will do the trick. It has the correct little appendature sticking out of it for keeping his eye on the ball. Victor? Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our president, Ed Lipsky, who has a proclamation. Edward?
I just wish Bob would have typed it bigger. I can't see it.
Where's those glasses?
I don't have any. The Board of Governors of Hillcrest Country Club do hereby certify that the following resolution was unanimously passed at a regular meeting of the Board of Governors held on June 19, 1979. Whereas Victor Choco has been engaged as a golf professional at Hillcrest Country Club continuously from 1942 until his retirement on April 30th, 1979. And whereas he has filled said position with natural dignity, total integrity, and unfailing courtesy, qualities which have been reflected by his family. And whereas the following action is taken by the Board of Governors of Hillcrest Country Club on behalf of the club membership in appreciation for those years of service, cooperation, and dedication. Now therefore, be it resolved that Victor Choco and Florence A. Choco, his fine wife, are hereby granted golfing privileges without green fees and club privileges without dues at Hillcrest Country Club for life. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution duly certified by the Secretary of this corporation be delivered to Victor Choco and Florence A. Choco, his wife. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. I see we're getting down near the end of the program, and Vic's starting to take notes. He's jogging them on the tablecloth here. I think he's going to respond. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a past president who has an award to give to Vic. May I introduce Bill Klingensmith? There he is.
Thank you very much. You've heard all of Vic's virtues, but there's one thing, Vic, you never accomplished, and that is improving my swing. But you've heard all the other wonderful things he's done, and because of this, it's very difficult to find the appropriate gift for Vic. Marion and I talked this over many, many hours, and finally we came up with a solution. Now we know that Vic has 3 hobbies. He has golf, Hillcrest, and his family. And that's about as far as it goes. He has the finest golf clubs money can buy. He has the greatest bag that you can buy. You know, when you're a golf pro and need balls, you just go to the case and take a handful. You never pay like we do. And by the way, Vic, get back at Dave now. You take the handful.
He did that.
But seriously, the thing that we thought would be most appropriate would be for Marion and I to give our golf cart to you, Vic. So we asked the Board of Governors if it would be appropriate. They said it would. They said there are only 2 small provisos. One is that Flossie can use it anytime she wants. And if she's not using it, you can use it. Now you can also take a friend with you. So at this time, why, there it is, Vic. At this time, I would like my wife, Marion, to present the keys to Vic.
Thank you, Bill.
I'd like to say one thing more, and that is that like everything else at Hillcrest, once you have an idea, everybody joins in and cooperates. So as soon as John Martina knew that I wanted to give you this cart, of course he went to work on it and refurbished it.
Made it look good.
Tonight, just before we came in to have dinner, we thought it'd be nice to take a few pictures, and I took a picture of Vic and Flossie that will be a memory for them of tonight. I'm sure there'll be others. I also took a few others, and I have them here, which cover a lot of the area here and the people who attended. And I call it Vic's Brag Book. I'd like to give that to you.
Thank you.
And it will stir up some memories someday, possibly. This time, it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman who has the gift of the members. It's John Martinek, our General Chairman. Will you help me bring him to the podium, please? John?
Thank you, Dick. You know, I think this has been a wonderful party, probably one of the finest I've ever seen at Hillcrest. And we really have to thank all you members, guests, and friends for the lovely turnout. You know, this is really something. When I think of Vic, all I can say, he's a fine person, a hell of a golf pro, a great friend, and he has a lovely wife and a lovely family. Do you all agree? We have a small gift that we've got ready here from the membership here. It's a little token here, and John, would you please bring that up? We would like to have you look at this. It's a little pewter set. I think it's kind of personal. And Vic and Flossie, we'd like for you to open this up and take a look at it. Okay.
You a little nervous, Vic?
No. Never do get nervous. Too big to be golf balls, Bob.
If they are, they're well used, I'll tell you that. She's always going to be better help now. It's a real package out there. It's a pewter mug. It's engraved for Floss, and also one engraved for Vic.
You like beer?
And there's also a lovely tray. And I think that this is something that they'll cherish for a long time.
That's chocolate. That's the morning. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, also, Vic has spent 36 years with our club and has done an excellent job in all the categories that he has served. Now, to show our appreciation, we, as members of Hillcrest Country Club, would like to present you, Vic, a check for $3,600.
Thank you, sir.
There is one catch. 10% goes to the golf committee. Okay.
It always does.
Now, we feel that in the 36 years of service, now we feel that you and Flossie, we hope and wish that you enjoy many more years in your retirement, and we feel, as members of Hillcrest Country Club, that it's really nice to know nice people like you too, and your family. And in conclusion, I want to thank everybody that participated in this program to make this a success. And all the years that I've belonged to Hillcrest, I'm very honored and proud to know Vic, and I'm sure, and Floss, and I'm sure that they will do just as good a job. And I hope I'm around 36 years later to do the same thing. So thank you. Floss, thank you so much.
Well, we're
Where's all those notes? Well, Mr. President, where is he? Lipsky. And John, Frank, and John Martino, what a hell of a committee you must have had. Yeah? And all the members, guests, and my family, I thank you very, very much. This party they had 16 years ago, I thought it was a real party, but this, I just can't believe. And, of course, you know, last year when the board heard that I was going to retire, they built a new shop. So I don't know what that meant, you know. Now I do. Now, they've said so many nice things about me that, you know, if you die and you're laying in a coffin, you don't have to worry about it. Geez, I have to live up to all this. And that's tough. Now, they say I'm nervous. I don't get nervous. Yeah, now, Martino, I gave me a little scared a little bit ago. I says, you know, everything in that book is beautiful. But I says, you made two mistakes, one little one and one big one. He said, oh, don't say nothing big. First place, I was born in Heights, Pennsylvania, which is Creighton now. It was on Bellevue Street. And I looked through this, I had to get my wife's glasses out there a bit ago. And they says, I was married in 36, but they didn't mention Floss's name. But thanks a lot for everything. It's a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you. You don't believe all the things he said.
I gathered them up on you. In a normal position of master ceremonies, you usually run through and introduce all of the head table. The way we did it this evening was a little different, and I missed 3 people. And if I can, I'd like to recognize those people who weren't introduced. Mrs. Martino. Where's Mrs. Martino? Right here. Mrs. Martinet. Over here. And Mrs. Lipsky, third home, right there. Nice man. I'd like to thank you for your kind attention. Before I close, I'd like to just tell you, Vic did go to Myrtle Beach last year. And he had a little problem, but he got down there, it was pretty crowded, there were no rooms. But he ran into a motel and he went in to register and they said the only thing they had was $50 rooms. Vic said, I better grab it. So he took the $50 room, and as he turned to walk away, he saw some golf balls. He said, your golf balls are $5 a dozen. He said, put my name on, I want to get some of them. I'll be back. So he went out to eat, and as he crossed the street, he went into a lounge for dinner, and they had a motel, and he went past the desk, and he saw a sign, rooms, $10. He went over and he said, are your rooms $10? The fellow said, yeah. Oh, he said, I just registered for $50 a room across the street. I'm going to change. And as he turned to walk away, he noticed the golf balls there were $40 a dozen. He said, your golf balls here are $40 a dozen. It's $50 for a room across the street. What's going on? He said, oh, over there, they get you by the rooms. I'd like to close my part of this party this evening, as Georgie Jessel might do it, with a little thought for Vic to carry, something you might carry. It goes something like this. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver, the other gold. A new-made friendship like new wine, age will mellow and refine. But friendships that have stood the test of time and change are surely best. For brows may wrinkle, old hair grow gray. That old friendship will never know decay. So cherish friendship in your breast. New is good, but old is best. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And now back to, here's Johnny.
Dick, as I said before, some of the best talent and wealth is in our own club. Let's have a nice fine round of applause for our master of ceremonies, Dick Jones. Come on. It's been a esteemed pleasure for me to serve on this committee, because you couldn't do it for nicer people. I mean it sincerely, Vic and Flossie. I'll do it all over again. Let's have a nice round of applause for Honoree and Flossie. Thank you very kindly. We have a few acknowledgments. As you look at this program, you see there's been a lot of work. And if you look, we must say a sincere thanks to the Vic Choco Testimonial Committee. And here are all the nice people on this page. I'm going to ask for a nice round of applause for all the committee one more time. For the committee, please. Acknowledgements. The Hillcrest Country Club and Testimonial Committee extends sincere appreciation of the following. As you notice, we're having a audio tape here which will be taken, and we'll have it for you, Vic. You'll have it the rest of your life.
Thank you.
How's that? Thank you. And that's Westmoreland Cable TV for their photographic work, audio-visual tape recording program. I want to say thanks personally to Sam Buffon and Mr. Nelson for their support. Thank you very much. Just have a nice night. We have to also acknowledge the fact of Mr. Bill Donetto, our manager, his staff at Hillcrest Country Club, for a wonderful job and a lot of good help to make a successful event. Thank you very much.
We also have to thank the people that put this program together. Your programs are really beautiful, done by Beacon Printing. I think they've done an outstanding job.
Thank you. Yes. And I think we got the preacher's discount on the price of these programs, too. Because I told them I'm a preacher's boy. We have a nice congratulatory coming from a man from Florida. Tom Kaler extends you the best wishes and success. From Tom Kaler, Florida. I was told by the management that I must repeat this, that tickets could be redeemable later on. So if you have a few tickets, don't worry, you can redeem them. This is a very important, I'll say this before closing, a most sincere thank you to all our members for their contribution to Victor Choco Testimonial Dinner. All you nice people, we sure appreciate what you've done. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you kindly stand as we have the benediction. Reverend Richard H. Griffith, pastor, First Baptist Church, New Kensington, PA. Reverend Griffith.
Hey, no, how are you? Thank you.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of the wonderful words that have been spoken tonight on behalf of our friend. We thank you for the dedication of his life, his love for his family, the patience that he showed day by day, the joy that was a part of his life, the very fiber of his being, the love that he expressed, and the helpfulness that he sought to be to everyone, always a friend. Father, he recognizes that all that's been said tonight is only possible because of you and what you mean to him and what you've enabled him to become for you. He's helped lighten the load for a lot of people across the years. And right now we're asking that he might know that lightened load himself. The days, and Father, we pray even the years that are left to he and Flossie might prove to be joyful times of sharing with all of those who have grown to love him and cherish his friendship. We thank you again for the committee, their thoughtfulness, the generosity of all the members and friends. And we thank you now, Lord, for the strength that you give each of us for rest and a new day of serving you. We ask this in our Savior's name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you. Thank you.